Greetings, gamer guys and gals. Welcome to part number 59 of my Let's Play Fire Emblem 5 Thracia 776. And in today's episode, we are going to be finally finishing this game's epilogue, finishing the entire story, finishing everything we have to see, and discussing a bit my feelings, my thoughts, my beliefs, my concerns, my wonderful blessings about this game in great detail, and maybe some plans for the future. Stick around and enjoy, won't you? Robert Bowman of Leonster, 0 wins and 0 losses. Robert's fondest wish was granted when he was assigned to a permanent post in the army of New Thracia. Despite fighting countless battles, he was a nervous wreck when at the royal court or other social functions. Unbeknownst to him, this only added to his popularity among the army's female officers. It's interesting because I believe this is the only information we get about Cain, Alba, and Robert. Callian, nobleman of Leonster, 1 win, 0 loss. At Leif's own request, Callian transferred to a posting at Castle Meath, which reunited him with Hannibal. From then on, the two worked together to ease tensions between northern and southern Thracians. He is considered one of the most influential factors to the successful reunification of Thracia. It's interesting that the epilogue makes some of these characters a lot more worthwhile than not. Olwen, Blue Mage Knight, 105 wins, 0 losses. After the war, Olwen returned home to the Dukedom of Frege. There she spent all of her strength helping the new, young lord rebuild her family's land. Whenever she thought of her brother Reinhard, she was overwhelmed by an odd mixture of pity and anger. Because of that history, she went on to choose a rather unremarkable man to be her husband, to the astonishment of all. Fred, Knight of House Stade, 5 wins, 1 loss. Chapter 24X, the Loptrian Altar, missing in action as of the above mission. Goodbye, Fred. Parm, Bandit of Dacia, 13 wins, 0 losses. Telling Leif he was going back to his hometown, Parm departed for parts unknown. Rumors abound about his activities since. Some say he returned to banditry, others say he helped rebuild Tara, and so on. The truth remains a mystery. Salem the Sorcerer, 15 wins, 0 losses. After the war's end, Salem moved to a rural area and became a recluse. He recorded the story of his life in writing. His memoirs told the tale of a man who had once been a member of the infamous Lopter cult. To historians, they were an invaluable resource, offering a rare glimpse into the inner workings of Loptrian society. Tina, mischievous little sister, 0 wins, 0 losses. Even after everything she had been through, upon returning to Tara, Tina remained just as rash and impulsive as before. Did she ever settle down and become less wild? Disappointingly, the history books don't say. Littlewin, Blossoming Flower of Tara, 17 wins, 0 losses. Littlewin returned to Tara and set about rebuilding the war-torn city. She guided Tara into an unprecedented era of prosperity, secretly using her wealth to support Leif's reign. Despite being praised for her beauty throughout her life, she never married. Her marital status, or lack thereof, became the subject of constant gossip. Now, she never married because she was betrothed to Ariane, but fell in love with Dean. Dean, hero of the clear blue skies, 40 wins, 0 losses. After the war's end, Dean escorted the wounded Ariane to the former region of South Thracia. Continuing to watch over him, Dean was later appointed the head of the reborn Draco Knights of Thracia. A few years later, he re-entered the stage of world politics, his new post elevating him to a key role. Edda, Draco Knight of Thracia, 13 wins, 0 losses. After the founding of the new kingdom of Thracia, Edda became a close friend and confidant to Altena. Edda tried her best to raise her spirits, as the war and its revelations had taken their toll on Altena. She took her duties so seriously that she never concerned herself with her own well-being. Ultimately, Edda sacrificed her own happiness to better devote herself to serving Altena and the restoration of Thracia. Homer, Traveling Bard, 0 wins, 1 loss. Chapter 24X, The Loptrian Altar. Missing in action as of the above mission. I hope he's enjoying his time with the Loptrian cult. Ralph, Wandering Sellsword, 2 wins, 0 losses. Taking up farming tools with the same ferocity as he swung a sword, Ralph poured his energy into healing the land. Save for this one detail, no other record of Ralph can be found in historical texts. Having made no effort to preserve a record of his deeds, he is emblematic of the many humble folk who aided in Thracia's restoration but chose to fade into obscurity. Shrove, Priest of Bragi. Shrove never did return to the Tower of Bragi. Instead, he wandered Drugdrol, spreading the teachings of Edda. His missionary work was noticed by other Bragian priests, and his earnest efforts motivated them to follow suit. Due to the movement, the Church of Edda once more became the dominant religion of the land. Amalda, Retired Knight, 6 wins, 0 losses. Amalda returned to the Dukedom of Frege and devoted herself to restoring it to its former glory. House Frege's disastrous rule of North Thracia had depleted most of their manpower and ruined their family land. However, as the years went by, Amalda's tireless work gradually returned the land to its once beautiful state. Misha, first of the new Falcon Knights. 4 wins, 0 losses. Misha returned to Celeste, where she was welcomed back by the Order of Pegasus Knights with open arms. In the subsequent war to liberate Celeste, she was honored many times for her valor in battle. Afterward, she was named commander of the next generation of the Order of Pegasus Knights. It's interesting that we hear about Augustria and Celeste in this. To her superiors, she was a capable and fair commander, and to her subordinates, she was a kind and popular leader. There are rumors that there was supposed to be a third entry to the Jug Roll series that showed off those such things, because they're definitely not in genealogy. Xavier, loyal Warhouse, 31 wins, 0 losses. Xavier devoted himself to the establishment of Leif's new kingdom of Thracia. A man of ample experience and knowledge, his advice always identified the root of a problem. While the new kingdom of Thracia's government was still developing, younger staff found his counsel invaluable. Dermot, charming knight, 9 wins, 0 losses. After the war's end, Dermot departed for Augustria with his cousin, Prince Ares. Their combined efforts led to a new era of unprecedented growth for their motherland. Galzus, sullied swordsman of Ode, 7 wins, 0 losses. After the liberation of Munster, Galzus simply vanished. There is no further mention of him, good or bad, in any reputable historical source. I wonder if that means he did not keep his promise to Avel. Perhaps he disappeared into the night, or perhaps his existence was deliberately covered up. There is no way to know. He doesn't seem like a man who breaks his promises. Sarah, doomed by fate, 38 wins, 0 losses. Sarah quietly removed herself from the public eye after the war. According to several legends, she was placed under Leif's protection and lived a humble yet spiritually rich life. And we have reached the end of the epilogue and the finish of our very own playthrough of Thracia 776, one of my favorite games of all time, and one of the best games of the SNES era, definitely giving pretty much every other Fire Emblem a run for its money. I would even think genealogy doesn't necessarily match the storytelling of Thracia at times because of the complexities that are in this game, though I still do declare that genealogy has the best overall story. It is due to several factors that I personally believe make that game awesome. But, you know, as I said, we're talking about Thracia here, and my final thoughts. Many of those said thoughts have to do with the fact that Thracia is an incredible game, and there's a lot of folks out there who will put down people who love the Jug Draw entries because of a quote-unquote worship or overzealous love or overlove of Shozo Kaga. I'm here to tell you that couldn't be further from the truth for me personally. I don't like Fire Emblem 1, 2, or 3, even in the slightest. I played 1, I've played 2 partly, and I've played 3, but all of the above I don't really care for. They might be quote-unquote classics, but for the time, and for the console, and for the technology, I don't think that they're very well implemented for me, personally. I think they're just too slow. The games are way too slow, the stories are way too rudimentary, the gameplay is too slow. Everything about them is just too slow, too darn slow, and I don't appreciate them. I don't really care for them. If they were sped up a bit, I could see myself enjoying them more, but even then, I don't think they compare to such titles as Fire Emblem 7 and Fire Emblem 8. Or Fire Emblem 9 and 10, or 11, or 15, or Thracia, or Genealogy. I just don't think that they compare. I just don't think that they could possibly compare. Now, Shozo Kaka is responsible for the top 2 favorite games of the series of mine, which is Fire Emblem 5 and Fire Emblem 4. So some could invariably say that I have a distinct love for that era, and I kind of do. The SNES is in my opinion, a timeless console, and having 2 Fire Emblem entries on it that I never even knew about for almost decades. And then when I got into them, I immediately fell in love. It's because of the mechanics of these games. It's because of the difference between the two. It's because of the way that they all are. Genealogy is awesome, and I cannot wait to go through that. But my problem with Genealogy is that even the best current patch, which is Project Naga, is not great. It's good, it's passable, and it still tells the story well enough. But it is not great. And the reason why I say that, a lot of people will disagree, is because it seems to be like the game was translated by 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, teenagers, folks who don't really have an understanding of a romanticized medieval Europe. That's what this game and Genealogy and this whole entire franchise is based off of, romanticized medieval Europe. And the moment that Fire Emblem started going away from that into some other cringy, disgusting, and abominable methods of storytelling and thought process was when it really lost me, especially recently. But that being said, Genealogy is definitely still in that vein. And when you've got people talking as if they're modern Americans with like childish attitudes, you're just like, come on, you're ruining the story for me. So unfortunately, even though I would love to do Genealogy next, it is probably likely that I'm going to go straight into a Path of Radiance difficult mode. Almost like remake of my Let's Play, because I think I could do that Let's Play far more justice, especially because, I'm doing it on difficult mode. I'll be able to show off more stuff. It'll be more challenging. A lot of people don't think that game is challenging as it is, and that's just because modern game design, it leans more towards hand-holding. I remember watching some folks literally complain about Thracia because of the fact that there were places where you could soft lock or even hard lock if you didn't have door keys, or if you didn't have this unit or that unit. And it's like, man, I just have to scratch my chin and look with a raised brow at you and question, have you ever heard of this thing called being able to lose at a game? It's almost like the people, modern folk, are afraid of losing entirely, and it's kind of gross. It's kind of disgusting, because the whole participation trophy mindset and generation has so infused people with this idea that they can't lose. They can't lose. It's how come every single time I lost a unit in this playthrough, I left it in. I left it in. Because I'm not some professional video game player. You're not going to watch some super LTCer who's got the best of all strategies known to man. I'm playing these games because I love these games and they are fun. They're something I enjoy. They're amazing and incredible. And frankly, you're never going to see perfect strategies out of me. You're going to see losses. You're going to see issues. You're going to see problems. You're going to see me flub up and make mistakes. And the reason why is because, well, I'm just playing the game. Yes, I do have some tried and true strategies, but that's because I've played Thracia dozens of times. I've played other Fire Emblems dozens of times. I'm not going to come at these games as if I'm a newbie, but I'm definitely not coming at these games as if I'm a pro. I don't really think I'm a pro. I do think that there are some strategies that I use that are good and can be applied to really everything. Like, for instance, the way that I took on the endgame chapter. The endgame chapter of Thracia is notably incredibly difficult, even though the final boss isn't really so, if you're not prepared for it, and it can hardlock you. If you don't have lockpicks, door keys, or any other way to like steal door keys or stuff like that, you're not going to beat that chapter. And let me tell you, if you have, let's say, only a thief staff and a Hamern, and you have enough thief staffs to steal with Hamerns all of the door keys from the Loptrian bishops, or sorcerers, I should say, you're still going to get through that chapter, but it's going to take you 40, 50, 60 turns. Because the reality is that there's sleep staff, berserk staffs, there's enemies you have to deal with, this, that, and the other, and if you're going one dorky at a time with each one of those, with the relentless reinforcements that chapter has, it's going to take you forever. You might sooner break all your weapons playing that chapter than actually complete it. It's just smarter to use the items and possessions and tools that Thracia gives you. And a lot of people will say this game is clunky or badly designed, or, well, why in the world do staves have, like, infinite turns that they're active on? So if you're put to sleep or silenced, you just can't do anything. And it's like, well, you know, even in the chapters that would be a problem in, like, for instance, the chapter that's currently displayed here, Dacia's Forest, there are ways to go around that. And I showed those ways in my Let's Play. I have no problem with any of these things. It's because I have a bit of foresight and knowledge, but it's also because these are strategy games. You're meant to beat them with strategy. It's so incredibly insane that nowadays Fire Emblem has been reduced to you having like this waifu dating simulator in which basically you just throw anybody that you want at whole hordes of enemies and you just win. That's pathetic. That's a waste of time. Why play a game at that point? If there's no opportunity or no chance to lose or no challenge whatsoever, why play? Why play? Just because I trivialized a lot of this game does not mean there was no challenge. I trivialized it because the game gave me tools that I was able to abuse, that I obtained through my own resourcefulness. That's part of strategy. Thank you, Shozo Kaga, for making games that give you the opportunity to allow that kind of strategy. I appreciate that, and I'm so very grateful that we were able to go through Thracia. Now, concerning my future plans, as an aside to all of my final thoughts of this game, like I said, I do have plans to go through all of my top 5 favorite Fire Emblem games in Let's Play format. Hopefully, something better than Project Naga comes along for genealogy in the interim. But moving on with my thoughts on that particularly, considerably, I do have other top 5s I want to do. I do have other Let's Plays I want to do, maybe even streams and Ironmans and other things of that nature. Personally, there's a lot of things I want to do. And with all that being said, I want to truly thank you, all of you who have joined, all of you who have subscribed, liked, and commented, even if there be only few, throughout this Let's Play. Because it has been a fun one, a joyous one. Thracia 776 is incredible. And I cannot wait until I am able to start up a new Let's Play and a new game, maybe some more scripted content here, there, and everywhere, just to bring some more discussion to the table. If you like my content, please upvote and follow, or like and subscribe, depending on your platform. And I will see you all in the next one. I truly appreciate it. Have a great and glorious day gaming.